Hello everybody, this is the EpicGamingGuru, and this time I'm going to try my absolute best to review the Outlast trial. Setting the events before Outlast 1, this is definitely one of those type of games that I had no idea how I was going to be able to review it structurally without worrying about YouTube breathing down my neck, considering that this game has so many grotesque moments, and then on top of that there are certain levels that I would probably not recommend to be able to put onto YouTube for very obvious reasons. So for the sake of this review, I am going to have to try my absolute best to stay away from those levels, but I'm also going to be able to do a full in-depth review of this game regardless, because this game is possibly one of the best out of the entire Outlast series, considering that the events of this took place right before Outlast 1, and it's the main core as to how the corrupt corporation in this game, Murkoff, has started off. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just get right into this review. Oh, what? Oh, I must have been dreaming about a country with no inflation and proper use of checks and balances. Well, despite me saying all that, this game does have a lot of customization into it, which is kind of a shock to see that in an Outlast game, and you can make your character feel exactly to what you want him to be, or whatever you want to be in between, doesn't really matter to me, but the customization in this game is honestly superb. This is one of the most customizable Outlast games I've seen in a while, and there's plenty of clothing and unlocks to be able to get with your characters as you're playing along, making it feel like your character is really yours compared to many of the other previous Outlast titles. You can even go as far as to decoring and changing up your room if you feel like it by adding certain add-ons you get from certain trials as well. The game also comes in with a lot of common decors if you want to put on those as well, but I honestly do appreciate this in this type of game because it really does make it feel as if you're really stuck with Murkoff in their test facilities. What do I mean being stuck in Murkoff's facility, since I kept mentioning it several times? Well, the thing is that you really are a sleeper agent stuck in a Murkoff facility being trialed and tested for until you are ready to be sent out into the world to be activated for a, well, assassination of a political candidate in some cases in this game. However, there are multiple endings in this game. I could see how that would intrigue the player into wanting to do several completions in order to figure out which ending is the truth. Now, when it comes to the game itself though, this is one of those rare aspects of an Outlast game where the previous games were all single player, but this game features multiplayer up to 4 players can join into on a trial. You do have to wait quite a bit of some time though before somebody joins in on your session, whether you be doing duos, triples, or quads. Once you do manage to get a team together and finally start to get in preparing to a trial, you still have to wait a certain amount of time for the trial to start, but if everybody goes in beforehand, you can immediately start the trial just right in time up ahead, still requiring you to sit through a loading screen and also technically another loading screen. Please proceed. Once you enter a trial, you have a set number of objectives that need to be accomplished. If you manage to go ahead and get every single one of the objectives done, you'll be able to finally escape. However, if you're in a team, it does get considerably easier because you have less to worry about when it comes to traps or any other forms of enemies trying to stop you along your way.
Oh my... Thank you.
You can even give and share items to each other if you find yourself in a situation that requires it.
Alright.
This is for you.
Even with the lockpick, you still need to go through a little mini game in order to pick and make sure that you're getting the right spots in order to make sure you don't take extra damage. In some situations, and including the more harder trials, you will be running into a lot of locked doors that require you to bash in, but in doing so, you're going to end up alerting all the other test subjects up to your location.
Look.
Some locations will even have a screecher or screamer that will alert the enemies nearby, like a siren if you get too loud around him.
Watch out.
Oh, what the fuck?
I barely even noticed the hiding stalker in the corner until I saw movement on the bottom right side of my eye.
Oh, you're like a pro at this game. I don't know what I'm doing.
There's also some bonus objectives such as getting posters in order to get bonus extra credits and XP after the entire trial is over after a fully successful escape.
Not a mannequin? Oh.
A lot of the AI in this game is surprisingly very smart. A lot of them will be able to hear noises, catch up to where the player's location is, and even try to hunt them down if they are close enough to their target. The thing that I find even more disturbing about this AI is that somehow it practically knows where the player is 24/7, at least to some of them on some instances.
You son of a bitch!
Nice.
There's also some hidden lore in the game in the instance of Murkoff files that allow you to check out any form of game lore that you want to check out later on in the game. If you already have it, you can get a teammate to pick it up instead in case they don't have a copy of it themselves. You will run into constant instances where you're constantly being chased by enemies and needing to hide and run away. It's generally recommended to try to bash through doors, get through certain hiding spots, and make sure you can get out of the enemy's sight of line before they can catch you.
Oh, there's a big guy.
For nothing. Always.
It's moments like this that create a huge intensity in the game, and it does it very well. You can often find items in lockboxes, medical crates, and everything else, but you do need to be very careful while looking into these because some of them could have their own form of booby traps in the sense of causing psychosis, and psychosis itself is a whole other different monster.
Like telescope?
Snake!
Keep the world out.
The interesting point that I found in this game was the fact that you are given night vision goggles in order to be able to see in the dark. The thing I find kind of strange though is that compared to many of the other Outlast games, you weren't exactly given night vision, you were just using a camera with its own night vision setting in order to be able to see in the dark. One thing I do appreciate is that if you're close enough to an objective, the game will highlight it for you, and if it's needed for another objective, it will have an indication on it as well. And your teammates can even point out a location for the actual objective itself to make the game a little bit easier. This could be seen around anywhere on the map. How? I have no idea. Once you know it's safe, it's always a good idea to try to get the objective done as fast as physically possible. This is where the intensity of the game really does amp up because of the fact that you really don't have a single clue if there's an enemy nearby or one that's just barely spawning in. I'm not even going to deny that the crepusy and indulgence and absolute madness of every single level design is really what adds to this game. There's a certain amount of ambience and hopelessness that happens within each trial that really just adds more of an aesthetic to the game instead of taking away from it, and for that I can really appreciate. Objectively, every single trial seems to be about the same. It usually just results in needing to push somebody towards their imminent death and many of those other different kinds of dark circumstances, but there are many different instances of different enemies respawning in different ways and even new ones added to different locations to make the game feel more fresh. No trial is ever the same when you're going back in, so it really does add more to the replay value of the game, and that is something that's very rarely done, especially in a horror game. And again, here it's done so well that I don't even know of any instance of me replaying Outlast Trials where any of the instances were the same. I'm not even gonna deny, some of the most intense moments in this game is when you actually have to get to the near final objective and then finally escape, and every single time it's always an intense heartbeat maker.
Get back here!
Oh, there's the psychosis guy.
Upon finishing a trial, you'll always be graded on your progress every single time you go through one, and you'll also be graded on both health damage, traps disabled, noises made, every single little bit that they can judge you for, they're going to do it in your grade category. The more sneakier you are and the more easier you are when it comes to going around and doing these objectives without being seen, the better your grade is. And honestly, it can get pretty damn difficult to get an A+. Alright, I think it's about time that I finally wrap up this review, because honestly, this is probably yet another one of those insane type of games where there's so much things into it that it's almost impossible to fit it all into one review. If I were to talk about every little length of content that this game has in one video, this would take me like 20 to 30 minutes just to get it done. But unfortunately, my time is short right now as far as I can see, and plenty of other videos I need to go through. But I have to admit this, Outlast Trials is one of the best horror games ever made in the past couple of years. It's probably been the only fantastic game made by a AAA development team that have done such a great job. Red Barrel did not hold back any punches. They went for this game. They went as deep as they could with those punches, caved into its skull, and made a beautiful masterpiece instead of splattered brains all over the floor. So with that being said, this is still going to be one of the greatest horror games I've ever experienced. And with new content added to it weekly, plus on the fact that they're constantly still updating the game, just adds more to its charm and its lore. So with that being said, thank you all so much for checking out this video. This has been EpicGamingGuru. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe if you enjoyed the video that much, and I hope to see you all on the next trial.